November 26th, 1930. A headline appeared on the front page of the Medicine Hat Daily News that would send shockwaves across an entire nation. 3 words. That's all it took. Village of the Dead. What authorities discovered in the frozen wilderness of northern Canada defied explanation. An entire village, over 100 people, gone, vanished into thin air, and what they left behind would haunt investigators for decades. Deep in the heart of northern Canada lies Anjunika Lake, remote, isolated, unforgiving. This is a land where millions of square kilometers are inhabited by only a few thousand souls, where temperatures plummet so low that survival itself becomes a daily battle. On the shores of this frozen lake lived a small Inuit settlement, around 100 to 150 people, fishermen, hunters, families who had survived in this harsh environment for generations. They were known throughout the region for one thing above all else: their warm hospitality to strangers. Which is exactly why what happened next makes absolutely no sense. November 1930. A hunter named Joe LaBelle was tracking game through the wilderness when darkness fell. No problem, he'd done this before. He would simply stay the night at the Inuit village by Anjunika Lake, just as he'd done on previous hunting trips. The tribe always welcomed travelers. But as Joe approached the village that night, something was wrong. The moon illuminated the settlement perfectly. He could see the tents, smoke rising from fires inside. But there was silence. Complete, absolute silence. No voices calling out in greeting, no children playing, and strangest of all, no dogs barking. In the Arctic, sled dogs always announce visitors. Always. Joe stepped into the village. Empty. He checked another tent. Empty. Another. Empty. Not a single soul. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. Inside the tents, Joe found cooking pots, still warm, sitting over fires. Food burned to charcoal, as if someone had been in the middle of preparing a meal and simply stopped. Women sewing, needles still threaded, cloth half-stitched, rifles, ammunition, supplies, all left behind. In the Arctic, you don't abandon your supplies, ever. They're the difference between life and death. And then Joe saw the dogs. The village's sled dogs, still tied to their posts, dead, starved to death, despite food lying mere feet away. For the Inuit people, sled dogs weren't just animals. They were survival, transportation, life itself. They would never leave without their dogs. Joe also discovered a freshly dug grave. Someone had been buried recently. But who buried them if everyone was gone? Terrified, Joe fled to the nearest telegraph office. He contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police immediately. When police arrived at Anjunika Lake, they confirmed everything Joe had reported. Their first theory? Mass murder. But there was no blood, no signs of struggle, no bodies. No evidence of violence whatsoever. The belongings were neatly arranged, orderly, undisturbed. And then investigators noticed something that made their blood run cold. The entire village was blanketed in fresh snow. Pristine, undisturbed. No footprints leading in, no footprints leading out. Only Joe LaBelle's own tracks. Think about what that means. No one arrived. No one left. Over 100 people simply ceased to exist. The police examined every possibility. Could they have crossed the frozen lake? The ice was completely intact, unbroken, no cracks, no holes. The boats were still on shore. Fishing doesn't happen when the lake is frozen solid. Could they have walked away across land? The snow would have captured their footprints, hundreds of footprints, but there were none. Based on the dead dogs and burned food, police estimated the village had been abandoned for several days before Joe arrived. Days, and not a single trace of where they went. After months of investigation, the case was officially declared unsolved. The file was closed, the mystery forgotten.